Hey, everybody. It's Ryan. Welcome to WeeksEnd. We're on episode number 51, which started making me think we're going to talk about space. I started thinking maybe that's like Area 51 or something, but maybe I'm geeking out too much. Want to welcome my special guest to the show today, Jenn. Welcome to the show. Can you hear me, Jenn?
I actually have a time delay.
Oh, you do? Okay. You hear me now?
I can hear you now. Yeah, I just heard the voiceover cool. Before. There was a delay.
Oh, no worries. All right. So welcome to the show, Jenn. How are you?
Thank you. Gosh, nothing like a countdown, right?
Yeah, right.
Reminds me of just Tuesday.
Right. Yes. Well, we wanted to have a special show today. Graham is on vacation, so he's probably super jealous that you and I are here talking about space because that's one of his favorite topics. And we've done several episodes of WeeksEnd where we've covered, the Dragon crew launch, the first one of those, and a couple of other like space holidays, like it was the 52nd anniversary of Apollo 11 this past week. So, but let's talk about the now and the future. And you have some really cool stuff to share. So I'm actually super jealous what you were getting up to this week with the launch of the Blue Origin New Shepard rocket. But where do you want to start? Like, we wanted to talk about space tourism today, and I just wanted maybe start with you just sharing, what your experience was with that this week.
So I had been planning to go to one of these launches for quite a while. I wasn't sure which one I was going to make. And unfortunately, I didn't make the Branson launch at the spaceport, which is featured right behind you. But I had the worst FOMO when I was watching it live, in the live stream. I was crying all day. I was posting things. I was tweeting. I was really like in it virtually. And I thought, well, I cannot miss Bezos's launch. No way. So I made the trek out with my partner. We drove a good 8 hours. Got there, the day before. We're a small town nearby called Van Horn, Texas, population 2,200. And there were probably more reporters than people. I swear, there's every corner. There was a camera set up. The town was just buzzing. And there's this wonderful mural that an artist had painted of the Bezos brothers with the New Shepard on the side. And you probably saw the pictures. And that was kind of like the nexus for all the townspeople and visitors to kind of go and get their picture taken. So I hung out there for quite a bit, took a lot of pictures of people, got my picture taken, talked to a lot of people, just met a lot of reporters, got quoted in the Dallas Morning News. And it was just a wonderful experience just to really understand the psyche and the impact kind of locally and the excitement. So, of course, found out from a local where the best viewing spot was, which was not where I thought it was going to be. Yeah, there it is. We brought a friend along. A friend joined us on the trip. Nice. Dropped in from Area 51, hitchhiker. And so we ended up going down this FM, I don't remember the name, but it was a farm to market road to the very edge of the road where the road ended to where farmland was. So the farmer or the landowner was kind enough to let a group of people go and watch the launch from there. And so some of the Blue Origin staff were there kind of directing traffic. That was the morning of the launch. I thought it was the most amazing. Actually, that was the sunset. That was the sunset. Sorry, that was the sunset right before. But we were scouting for a spot. And we didn't stay the night on the road there. We actually had to stay at the rest stop because it was too muddy on the road to stay the night there. And one of the staff of the landowner told us he didn't want to drag us out with his tractor, so we needed to get out and go back the next morning. So went all the way down the road to the edge. We got about 20 miles to the launch site. There were probably about 30 cars just kind of stacked waiting there. And so it was kind of a little party, walked around, talked to people, saw everybody setting up on their lawn chairs with their binoculars and their cameras and just waited. And I had goosebumps. I felt the anticipation. It was really just this, all senses were on. I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. Just, It's a really unusual experience because it's this larger than life thing. it's life-changing, it changes the world, and anything can happen. I was pretty sure it wasn't going to be a disaster. I had seen so many practice launches, and it was flawless, every time. So I was pretty confident that nothing would go wrong, but still, exciting nonetheless. So by the time we were listening to the control room's countdown, and they were behind. They were like a 10-second delay. So by the time we noted, it had already gone. And so by the time they announced a liftoff, it was already 10 seconds ahead of us. So we could hear the roar of the booster. We could feel it. The whole desert valley just kind of vibrated with the sound, this giant sound. And it was interesting because right before that, the scene was so pastoral, so bucolic. You could hear this beautiful bird singing. I mean, nothing. It was just morning in the fields, and the contrast. And suddenly it's just filled with this rocket sound. And so by the time, we caught it, we saw the contrail. It had already gone up. So from that perspective, it was a bit of a letdown, I have to say, a little anticlimactic. But regardless, as I said, all the senses were fully activated. That's what I caught. That's what I saw. That's about as good as it got. So I was like, oh, it's already up.
Yeah, but you were really. I know what you're saying when you talk about the goosebumps and just the vibe, because I had the fortune of going and seeing one of the Falcon rockets go up a couple of years ago from Kennedy. And it was the same thing. There was definitely an electric vibe of just not knowing quite what to expect or what it was going to be like. And then seeing something like that go up. And then in this case, they sent the capsule and then the rocket comes back down, which is a whole nother surreal thing. So yeah, it's just amazing to be there, I think. And just, it was like, this is a moment in history that we can't really underemphasize that, right?
Absolutely. And I would highly recommend everybody, if you have a chance, to go out and watch a launch. I mean, there's going to be undoubtedly many more from the spaceport in Truth and Consequences, as well as Van Horn, Blue Origin. So I highly recommend just going and having that experience. In case you're not convinced about how cool it is, that will turn.
Well, I just want to so I decided, because I was using a green screen today, I was going to put the spaceport behind me. So this is what Jenn is talking about. This is what this amazing spaceport looks like. But just talk about being there. I mean, what was your impression of this? I mean, because one thing I was wondering about was, I actually just kind of coincidentally, kind of on purpose, watched a little bit of 2001: A Space Odyssey last night, and I was looking at how they had in the beginning of the movie they have the Hilton in space, and it's very mod and very cool looking and all that. And now that this is happening in real life, I just wonder, what is this experience for you?
Oh, yeah. I mean, the first time I saw this, we were driving through, because my boyfriend had actually seen it right when it was being built, I think 10 years prior. So this is 2016 or 2017, when it was, it was still not occupied, but it had finished being built. So we drove by at sunrise and stopped and took a ton of pictures, talked with the security guard, and he's like, well, you're going to need $250,000 to get in. So, so it was just surreal. I had never seen anything like that. It was something from right out of my imagination, suddenly manifesting itself on the desert floor. I mean, and then I had a chance to go for a space fair in 2018, where they really opened to the public to really prove out, saying, yes, we're ready for business. We're going to start doing this, because the state of New Mexico had invested considerably in this project, and this was 20 years coming. So it was really a way to say, this is coming, this is going to be real. So that was a great experience too. Met some of the staff. My cousin and her husband came with us as well. So it was a really great bonding experience. And so really just got to get a taste of what would happen. Didn't get to see the Gaia Lounge, but I know that's the receiving lounge for the space tourists and those participating in the flight. And that's exactly what you would imagine. Very mod, very space, very sci-fi looking. So yeah. I hope to visit there someday.
I saw this. This is a video, like a hype video from a few months ago, or actually, no, just earlier this month. I guess on the same day as the Unity launch, right?
Yeah.
This is the space video from that morning.
I think what I really want to do is ride my bike. I want to go on a bike ride and ride it just like Richard Branson supposedly did. I think that would be a really fun bike ride. Do a midnight ride to the spaceport.
Yeah. No, this is definitely on my list now. I mean, this is not, I talked about 2001. This reminds me of like Close Encounters. I relate everything to movie trivia.
I mean, yeah, that's the blueprint for how we perceive our space future, right? So why not?
Well, let's get into talking about space tourism then, because like I said, I was revisiting the Kubrick classic film where he envisions kind of, a brief glimpse into what it would look like. And it was very apropos for the time. I mean, you've got the shuttle that goes up to the Hilton that's, halfway, I guess, a waypoint between going to the moon, right? But it is interesting, like you said, to see how those aesthetics inform some of the design, especially now that private companies and private enterprises are influencing sort of this new renaissance for space exploration, right?
Well, it's interesting to note that the new executive of Virgin Galactic came from Disney.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know if that will have any sort of impact on just the client experience, but I think that was a good choice, actually. I mean, why not?
I'm just blown away even by the suits for like the Crew Dragon. Like, I mean, that is what you imagine you want the spacesuit to look like now. And the fact that even just the capsule comparing that to like the Apollo era, I mean, it's amazing. And now that we're getting to this point, like with like a tourism type of enterprise, I mean, it must just be an amazing experience to be along for the ride. I don't know.
Yeah, absolutely.
Are you ready to go? So we had this question where we talked to the IBM archivist who studies space and a lot of the history, and we asked the question. So I want to ask you, what are you ready for? Do you want to go up? Do you want to go to the moon? What's in your, if you could do it, what do you want to do?
Well, first of all, shout out to Elon Musk for giving Bitcoin a bump this week. Thank you.
Right.
So I think the only chance
that
most of us,
reality.
Yeah, the only chance most of us have to be able to afford the ticket. It's like, so I was thinking today, okay, do I buy that 2-2 bungalow in Austin, or do I buy 4 tickets to to space, my friends? So
yeah.
That's the choice we're thinking of. So in terms of my own personal, what I would love to do, I would hope that a traversable wormhole would just kind of pass by me, so I'd have a free ride anywhere in the cosmos. Right. But bearing that, I would go to the moon. I would go to the moon, and in fact, I'm really sorry I didn't get on the competition for the suborbital moon or the moon flight. I would have had to come up with something really great to get in the running, but. No, the moon. I think the moon would be most interesting. Not, there's, things on the moon that we need to know about. Right. And I think that's really the jumping off point to space. I would say Mars just feels a little indulgent and a little impossible. So I would scrap plans for Mars personally. I know that might be a controversial position. But
maybe that's the stepping stone. I mean, I really do think, I spoke to one of the Apollo astronauts, in Cleveland at a systems engineering conference. And he said, there's so much we could do on the moon right now. Mm-hmm. So he was, I'm trying to remember his name right. Harrison. So he was the only scientist to go up in the Apollo missions. He's a geologist. And his point was they took a lot of core samples from the moon during that mission that they're still studying today. And so
I think there's one substance called helium-2, right? Is that correct?
Yeah.
So that supposedly is that
Harrison Schmidt.
Okay.
And so he was on, if I'm remembering right, I mean, he was on the last Apollo mission and drove out with the rover to collect all the samples, and that was sort of the last time we had a chance to do that, right? That was a while ago.
Yeah, I mean, that's more feasible. And so I hope that private and public endeavors start to make that more of a possibility, because there are some substances on the moon. I think, as I said, helium-2, I believe, that have the potential to generate more power, really valuable substances. If we're upset about billionaires now, wait till that generates trillions. So I think the first one to discover that and tap that is going to be lucky.
Well, that's the interesting point. I heard a speaker talk about a guy from NC State here in Raleigh talk about how, to your point, as soon as we discover an asteroid that's made of nickel or any of the substances that are going to just change the game when it comes to economics, that's really when things will get interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. And going back to space tourism, I've been kind of thinking of, okay, so $250,000, that's a pretty big ticket item.
Mm-hmm.
What could they throw in to the experience to make it even that much worth it? I think you get to take home your uniform, right?
Yeah. Oh, I'd hope so.
Is that what I understand? Yeah.
Yeah.
And so can we customize? Can we make
Right.
it more like a Burning Man experience? Can we have some kind of a little bit of flair to our space outfits? Is there anything else that we can do to kind of enhance the experience? So I'm thinking like adding value to more client experience stuff there.
Yeah. I know. I mean, just to go up and float for a few minutes, that's a pricey thing, right?
It is. I think they could do a lot more. I mean, I think some kind of, getting some great press coverage, obviously, and then maybe just some reflective things you can do to reflect, and maybe like a meditation course, like meditate in space, or do some kind of contemplative work. So you actually really get to, and then having some, measuring the impact of your body in space. So you become like a human test subject, but in a safe and reasonable way. But I think meditating in space, a meditation retreat in space would be pretty awesome.
Honestly, what I would really like to go up to the space station and maybe you spend a day there, and to your point, there's some kind of activity that would be, different than anything else you could experience here.
Are you saying that the current offerings for space tourism are not scientific enough? They're all about pure pleasure? Are they too hedonistic?
Yeah, I guess. You and I both travel on planes a lot. It's one thing to go up and sort of see the Earth from that vantage point. That would be amazing. I would like to do more, though. Yeah. Yeah,
I think that, obviously the value, what they really want people experience is the fragility of the Earth, the fragility of the atmosphere, and kind of the sense of custodianship. Much like, Bezos was on message on point when he came back, and that was his first thing he said I think that was one of the first things, other than yeehaw, yahoo, woo. It was more like, wow, we have to protect this. I'm going to put more energy into, my Earth fund, which was on point. Thank you for saying that.
Right.
So I think that's really what the point is to have a sense of ourselves greater than our nationality, where we're from, what our race is, all of that, all those labels and trappings to we are citizens of this galaxy. And so how does that change how we treat our planet? So I think that's really the main point. So there is value. It's not just a joyride. Yes, there was a lot of yeehaws on Bezos' flight, but more to that, I think a shift in perspective is probably healthy.
Okay, I'm gonna show one more visual aid here. I love this. I gotta switch tabs here, but let's see. You shared a video of you guys, a widescreen sort of vantage point of your experience, and I wanted to share. There's this one moment that I think is where it comes into view that I thought was interesting here. So there's there's the rocket here, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's going up, and then there it is. Yeah. I like that.
Me with my camera.
Yeah. I'm jealous. So let's
even that far away, it was cool.
Oh yeah.
It's just the evidence of the booster going up was cool. Yeah. That was really great.
Well, you don't know. Seeing it in the movies with the swelling, music, not the same experience.
Well, I think just the sheer power of the booster, and it's how it echoes through, I guess, the desert floor that's the soundtrack.
Right.
That's your soundtrack. Right.
So you mentioned the idea of space towns when we were talking before the show, and, the notion of where you were in Van Horn, there's other sites. You know, you were also saying, you know, maybe Texas is going to give Florida a run for its money, right? So
Yes.
what do you think? What do you think the potential is? You know, Roswell has been kind of a cult, you know, following type of destination, but this, I think, could be a different phase for what we call space towns, don't you think?
Yeah, I mean, New Mexico kind of has, you know, the sort of space history and potential tourism. Like they could actually create a space trail in New Mexico that would be really compelling because New Mexico has such a history with space. So I would love to see that happen. You know, I'm a big fan of New Mexico. I go out a lot. I really love the town close to the spaceport called Truth or Consequences. It's got mineral spas. It's got Elephant Butte Reservoir, which is dropping. And it's got beautiful views and it's got great rock hunting. And I'd love to see the town flourish after all these years of promises and preparation. I mean, there's, you know, people have been kind of waiting for this opportunity for some economic stimulus from tourism dollars. So I'm really hopeful to see that happening. The town of Van Horn, also the same thing, you know, 2,200 people. Have they benefited from Jeff Bezos being nearby? Yes, somewhat. And hopefully more in the future in terms of infrastructure, you know, money put into the town. They do need their water infrastructure invested in. So I think they're trying to achieve that. And I think that hasn't come yet. So the most important thing hasn't been achieved so far. But in terms of like, you know, hospitality, just the basic everyday kind of tourist amenities, those two towns stand to really reap a lot. And I'm really hopeful because, you know, as I was saying and talking to the townspeople, the narrative in the borderlands, you know, both are very close to the border, has been around immigration, poverty, drugs, you know, all of that. And now it's shifting or has potential to shift to that of economic opportunity, even attracting space tech, higher education, kind of filling, you know, the pipeline at the local universities. I think UTEP has a program. New Mexico, the universities there are really gearing up to generate the skill set to work in this industry. And I think that's really exciting. Just the impact on kind of the youth in the area, the inspiration that it's bringing is really driving them to just kind of achieve higher than, say, maybe what they were sort of brought up to believe at the time. Limited possibilities in those, you know, rural areas.
Yeah, I'm fascinated by this just because I'm my wife and I are wanting to get a teardrop camper and go explore that side of the country because we're East Coasters. We haven't really been, you know, we haven't really explored that side of the world, but it's just totally fascinating to me. And this I like going every state or city I go in. I love to go find the obscure, weird stuff, and so this is like right up my alley.
Oh my gosh, you can't do any better than West Texas to New Mexico. It's too much. It's almost too much. You need probably you know, several months to really like uncover every nook and cranny. I mean, just getting from Austin to Van Horn is like, you know, 7 hours, and then to Truth or Consequences, it's, you know, 11. So it's no joke. You have to be very committed and ready to haul.
You have a fan, so puns are fun.
Can you imagine my hair in zero gravity?
Right, I know. That's what I'm thinking about. Well, you know, I don't have that problem anymore, but you definitely would have fun.
Yeah, I would have a problem.
Thanks, Morgan, for your comment.
Yeah, thanks, Morgan.
Also, Adam is commenting saying that space bath is better.
Yeah, let's take a sound bath in space.
All right.
Or
so
the sounds in space. Cool. Yeah. I think this audience knows me well.
Oh yeah.
They're feeling me.
One other thing. So two other like there's a lot of people getting into this now, and really. When you think about, so we've had the VSS Unity launch earlier in July. We just had Blue Origin this week. And then we have the Boeing Starliner that's going to go up on, I think, a ULA rocket on July 30th, I think.
Yes.
I think it's I think it's still an unmanned test. But that's another one where it's like, it's pretty, I don't know. People will be mad at me for saying this, but it's kind of like the same as a Crew Dragon kind of setup, right? And I think they're doing a test run to go up to the space station with this one.
Yeah, that's correct. And Nauka from Russia just launched as well.
Yeah, right. So there's a lot happening. I mean, it just seems like
it's a lot happening. Space is the place.
Space is the place. You're right.
Yeah. Make time for me. Hey, here's my recommendation: make time for space. Meaning, like, learn about what's going on. Right. I think a lot of people are just getting inundated with this, Bezos news, with the Branson news, and they don't realize that this is just the tip of the iceberg. There's a lot going on. So do pay attention. Watch the space.
Well, watch the space. I've got my NASA meatball shirt on that says I need my space. That's my sentiment. But I feel like I'm a member of Generation Space, being a Gen Xer and growing up with the shuttle program. When I was in the 5th grade, we petitioned to have our teacher be the one that went up on the shuttle that was tragically lost. And that was really, like, to me, that was like a golden era of like possibilities. The tragedy was hard. That was hard period to go through. But, that was like when I was in the 5th grade watching that, it was like, the whole school stopped what they're doing. They roll the card in and you watch, we were all watching that live, and that crushed our souls to see that happen. But I just think now, and there was another shuttle, that was lost as well. But now it feels like we're just entering a new era. It feels different.
Yeah, it's really encouraging. So I participate in Clubhouse quite often, and the group I really highly recommend is Small Steps and Giant Leaps. And there was a whole session, a room about youth in space, and it was all about how to prepare for careers in space. The main speaker had an internship with Virgin Galactic, and it was really exciting just to see the possibilities and potentials that this generation has, just getting into higher education or university, what they intend to do, what they can study, and what they can get into. So I'd say, parents, get your kids ready. Get your kids ready for this emerging industry.
That's a good shout out. So that's Small Steps and Giant Leaps on Clubhouse. There's also just, I think this reinvigorates kind of the discussion around STEM education, STEM careers. It's very tangible now, right? Like, there used to be the old saying, like, it's not rocket science, but there's so many entry points now to be a part of this industry from a variety of like entry points, right? And you were also mentioning something about youth in space. What was your tie to that?
Oh, it was just one of the chats in the Clubhouse.
Oh, cool. All right.
And when I was in Van Horn, I was talking to some women, and one woman's daughter was going to Texas, one of the universities in Texas, and studying and getting scholarships and getting into this field. And I just keep hearing more of these stories. And somebody from Van Horn going to school at in somewhere in Central Texas, and now studying to enter into the field was just really exciting. Just hearing more stories like that was awesome.
So you mentioned that there's an Omaze campaign to be a part of the next Virgin.
Yes.
So are you entering that or no?
I have not yet. I have to save up to buy like 1,000 tickets.
Right.
I'm not buying just.
You only need one.
Just entering with 20.
Yeah,
I know, right? I know it's very reminiscent of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. I love it.
Yeah. No, that would be amazing. And
amazing, yes.
Amazing. You're right.
Yes.
The other thing I wanted to bring up is that, the Crew Dragon, which we've seen kind of like the supply dragon, and then the Crew Dragon caps will go up several times. But the next civilian flight, which I think is set for late October, the Inspiration 4. I thought it was interesting that someone let me know that it's got a charity component that's going to benefit St. Jude. So I think like what you were mentioning earlier about it not being about billionaires just having fun. Like I was really, really encouraged to see this kind of, tie in, to like really open kids' eyes to the possibilities and get them excited again about this new frontier.
Yeah, I mean, if anything else, you know, the spectacle of it, the media coverage does catch the attention of this generation. They're not jaded like us and everybody on Twitter. So they're the ones who are like, oh my gosh, that's so cool. And if that's their only opportunity to see something like that, yeah, why not? You know, why not get inspired? Why not raise the bar on yourself? Why not?
I agree.
It's all good.
So,
it's all good.
That one especially is near and dear to my heart just because of the cause and what they do. And it's really great work. So check that out. Again, I think the inspiration for it is set for the October timeframe. I wanted to end the show with kind of a fun bit. So what's your take on the UFO/UAP sort of, there's been a lot of news this year, but
yes.
I'm going to ask very simply, are you thinking it's a definite yes, or are you still questioning?
Do I think they're unidentified aerial phenomenon, or do I think they're not unidentified aerial?
I think
what's the question?
I guess, okay, let me be more clear. Is it aliens or not? Like, do you really think that it's like, I think there's a lot of people who are just unwilling to even open their mind to that.
Yeah. I mean,
they've been here, which the evidence would point to they've been here a while.
I think they've been here a while. Yeah. I mean, I'm out of the closet on this one. If anybody knows me, looks at my profile picture on Facebook. Yeah, I'm way out of the closet on the ET stuff. So yes, UAPs are likely interdimensional or non-terrestrial, or they've been here a while and they're just, so yay, yes. Yeah, and we can learn a lot. I mean, and the only way we're going to really survive and get to space and do this right is if we understand the anti-grav magnetic space-time capabilities of these things. I mean, what we're doing, nice try, humans, but we got a long way to go. So yeah, check out Bob Lazar, listen to the smart people doing these podcasts, trying to figure this stuff out, because it's on. We're a little ways away, but you know, once we nail it, hopefully we will be cool enough to be part of the space family. Right now, we're not quite. We have a little ways to go.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm in the space family. I think it's, you know, there's no way we're alone. So
yeah, it's really kind of weird that people think that. I don't understand people thinking that we're the only living conscious entities in the universe. That blows my mind. Okay,
so I said that was the last segment, but it's not. We have our final segment, which is we have a trivia question and a giveaway. So let me show off the giveaway first. I don't know how many people recognize one of these, but it is a Fisher space pin. So if you're a space historian from the Apollo era or Gemini or any of those, this is a pin that can work in any gravity, upside down, underwater, all that kind of stuff. And it comes in this neat commemorative case that features the moon rover, of course. And I think the coolest thing, because I geek out about aesthetics and design and the packaging of it all, but it comes in a little case that looks like it's sitting on a moon rock. And it just so happens to have an IBM logo emblazoned on it, because that's what Jenn and I do in our day job. And IBM played not a small part in the space program back during Apollo. And fun fact, we're involved in every mission that NASA is working on right now.
Our job is not yet finished. We are still.
Job is not yet finished. It never is.
No, not at all.
So we're going to give away. I'm going to ship one of these to one lucky person. I'm going to keep the contest open for 48 hours. So you don't have to be live here answering the question. I'm willing to accept social media comments, and I'm going to, because of the internets and Googling, I'm going to pick a random person who gets it right. But Jenn, do you want to say the question?
I would be honored to.
Go right ahead.
So the question is, what is the latest food item NASA astronauts are now growing aboard the International Space Station? What's growing up there in space?
And I'm going to put it up on the screen, and we'll say it one more time. What is the latest food item NASA astronauts are growing aboard the ISS? This can be yours. It's so cool. I use it all the time. They're very cool. They're very small. They fit in your pocket, or if you have a pocket protector, pretty sure it'll make you the coolest space nerd amongst all of your space nerd friends.
Yeah, think hard, guys. It's a big question.
It is.
You can win big on
very
this.
Cool. It's a very cool story, very cool answer. So good luck to you all. Thank you for watching this week's episode of WeeksEnd. Jenn, thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.
I would love to have you back, and we can talk about more space geekery as the year goes on. And I know
we must.
When Graham is back and the three of us can get together, I think that would be fabulous. So I look forward to that.
Me too.
All right, everybody. Well, this is your
weekend.
show. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next Friday on WeeksEnd. Bye.